Former President Donald Trump's all in on Caitlin Clark. Make one final call to the popular podcast.
Donald J. Trump weighing in on not only Caitlin Clark, but...
I speak for the delegation from the great state of Iowa, the inspiring home of Caitlin Clark.
You won't believe this. Donald Trump, in the heat of his 2024 campaign, just hit pause to talk about Caitlin Clark. Yes, that Caitlin Clark. The Indiana Fever superstar who's been setting the WNBA on fire with record-breaking games. Trump didn't just throw out some casual praise. He called her unbelievable and asked if she could hold her own in the NBA. But it's what he said next that's sparking serious debate, and it's making waves in ways no one saw coming. Trump's words didn't just stay in the sports lane. They exploded into a full-blown debate on pay equity in women's sports.
Trump was asked about equity and the dilemma of increasing salaries in the WNBA amid Clark's rise in the league.
Specifically the WNBA, where players like Clark earn a fraction of what NBA stars make. And here's the kicker. Trump's comments weren't just praise. They've added fuel to a conversation that's louder and more urgent than ever. In this video, we're diving into what Trump actually said, why his words have left the sports world buzzing, and how Caitlin Clark's rise might just change the game for pay equity. Get ready to see the WNBA, the NBA, and the entire pay equity debate in a whole new light. Trump didn't hold back his admiration for Clark's skills on the court. He was practically gushing, saying, "She's incredible, by the way." He's watched her play and is seriously impressed with her shooting, so much so that he wondered out loud if she could hold her own in the NBA. "She's unbelievable," he added, almost as if he couldn't believe his own words. And here's the thing. Trump doesn't often comment on individual athletes, especially in the WNBA. His admiration for Clark was both unexpected and impactful, and he couldn't have chosen a better moment. Clark's arrival in the WNBA has been nothing short of a sensation, and Trump's shout-out just elevated her even further, giving her game, and women's sports in general, a whole new layer of recognition. But Trump's not just saying she's a phenomenal player. His words added fuel to a fiery debate about the massive pay gap between WNBA players and their NBA counterparts. Clark, as talented and popular as she is, has a base salary of about $76,000 annually, a fraction of what even a bench player makes in the NBA. And while endorsements help bridge the gap, Trump's comments threw a spotlight on the fact that women's sports still have a long way to go in terms of pay equity. All right, here's where things get real. Caitlin Clark's base salary of $76,000 is far from what she deserves, considering her impact. Compare that to the NBA, where star players like LeBron James, Stephen Curry, and Giannis Antetokounmpo rake in millions each season, and we're not even talking about endorsements. For example, the NBA's top players can make upwards of $40 million a year in base salary alone, with endorsements often doubling that number. Clark's salary, even with endorsements, barely scratches the surface of what the top NBA athletes make. But Clark isn't just any player. She's a breakout star who has single-handedly boosted WNBA viewership. Her games consistently bring in massive audiences, with fans tuning in to watch her long-distance shots, her intense rivalries, and her ability to dominate a game. Yet, despite this, the pay disparity between her and NBA players remains staggering. And it's not just Clark. It's a reality for almost every player in the WNBA. The question people are asking is, if Caitlin Clark can bring this kind of attention and revenue to the WNBA, why isn't she being compensated accordingly? This isn't a new debate, but Trump's comment has reignited the conversation. Pay disparities in women's sports have been a point of contention for years, but seeing a former president recognize Clark's talent and speak out about fairness is a major moment. It highlights the gap in a way that's hard to ignore, especially when someone with Trump's influence is talking about it on a popular platform. Trump's take on the pay gap? It's a complicated issue. He doesn't think pay equity in sports is a simple fix, nor does he think throwing millions at players is realistic without market support. Trump pointed out that ultimately, sports salaries are market-driven. In other words, the demand for women's sports, especially in terms of viewership and sponsorships, needs to grow to justify increased pay. But Trump didn't stop there. He suggested that perhaps the WNBA could give Caitlin Clark a bonus, acknowledging that she's doing something exceptional for the league. The league could probably go up and give her a bonus, he said, noting that it wouldn't harm the WNBA if they're doing well financially. Trump sees Clark as the type of player who could bring more fans to women's basketball, which could, in turn, justify a bump in pay. In his view, the WNBA doesn't need to overhaul its entire pay structure. Instead, he believes that rewarding standout players with performance-based bonuses could bridge the gap without creating a financial strain on the league. Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA is undeniable, and it's reshaping the league in real time. Since she joined the Indiana Fever, viewership has skyrocketed. Clark's games draw fans who wouldn't normally tune in, making her one of the most watched and talked about players in women's basketball. Her rivalries, especially with players like Angel Reese, have captured the attention of audiences and driven up engagement across social media and mainstream outlets. Clark's long-distance three-pointers, buzzer beaters, and viral highlights aren't just game-winning shots. They're the kind of moments that create fan loyalty and bring new viewers to the sport. And that's exactly what Trump hinted at. Caitlin Clark is creating a wave of interest that the WNBA has struggled to achieve in the past. Trump's comments reflect what many fans and analysts have been saying. Clark is a game changer, not only for the Indiana Fever, but for the league as a whole. With her talent and influence, she has the potential to reshape what it means to be a WNBA star and to shift the league's financial future. This conversation around pay equity couldn't be coming at a more critical time. The WNBA has been making strides in improving salaries and benefits for players, but there's still a significant gap when compared to men's leagues. Now, with a high-profile player like Caitlin Clark drawing massive audiences, there's a sense that the WNBA is on the brink of something big. Her popularity highlights both the potential and the limits of what the WNBA can offer its athletes right now. Trump's endorsement of Clark's talent also amplifies the conversation around fair pay in women's sports. When a former president highlights this issue, especially someone with Trump's media reach, it pushes the conversation out of sports circles and into the mainstream. This matters because public opinion can put pressure on the league and its leadership to reconsider its approach to player compensation. With the rise of social media and platforms where fans can share their voices, the conversation is growing beyond just sports enthusiasts, reaching people who may not even follow the WNBA. Trump's comments have tapped into something bigger than sports. It's a cultural conversation about value, fairness, and market demand. Clark's success is showing the public that the WNBA has stars who can hold the audience's attention and attract viewership. But here's where it gets tricky. Fans can voice their opinions all they want, but until those opinions lead to more investment in the league, the pay disparity isn't likely to disappear anytime soon. That's the harsh reality Trump pointed to when he said, "You have to rely on the market." Yet this moment feels different. With the kind of viewership numbers Clark is pulling in, public opinion could genuinely sway the league's financial direction. This new wave of interest is an opportunity for the WNBA to attract more sponsors, bring in higher revenues, and maybe even get closer to closing the pay gap. Trump's comments have sparked a lot of debate, but the real impact might come from fans demanding change, putting pressure on WNBA leadership to capitalize on Clark's popularity and consider more competitive pay options. Clark's skill and popularity could be the very things that push the WNBA to make meaningful changes. After all, if one player can bring this much attention to the league, imagine what might happen if the WNBA fully embraced this new wave of talent by offering salaries that match their contributions. Clark's story is just beginning, but she's already redefining what it means to be a WNBA superstar. And with public figures like Trump chiming in, the debate around pay equity is only heating up. Will the WNBA use this momentum to finally bridge the gap? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. Caitlin Clark's influence is already changing the conversation, and fans everywhere are watching closely. If you've made it this far, let us know what you think in the comment section below. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching.